It says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So it says, from continuing last week, it says, Allah has said, no soul can imagine what delights are kept in store for them as a reward for what they used to do. This is what the Prophet ﷺ referred to when quoting the Lord of Honor as saying, I have prepared for my servants that which no eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor human heart has imagined. Paradise is something way beyond our imagination. This is why when a person sees that bliss, is submerged in the blessings of the position that Allah has prepared for them, and becomes touched by the hue of paradise, their heart and soul will be filled with resplendence, joy, happiness, and glee. They will forget the suffering and adversity, hardship, and misery they experienced in the temporal world, to such an extent that they will be asked, O son of Adam, did you ever suffer? Did you ever experience adversity? They will reply, By Allah, my Lord, I never experienced any suffering, nor did I face any adversity. So this is paradise. It is a path for which lives should be sacrificed, souls should be sold, and over which men of conscience should compete. It is a truly valuable commodity that believers should hasten to attain in the knowledge that he who is fearful sets out a night. That's a phrase in Arabic. Man khafa adlaj, right? It means man khafa adlaj, he who is fearful. If you're scared of something that is real, right? Somebody says, listen, they're gonna come and get you. You better leave like now. And you're like, what do you mean now? Like now. So if you know what that means, then you start doing things immediately. That's what it means. Like people who are awake to a danger behave accordingly. That's what it means. Man khafa adlaj, right? They set out at night, even though it's a strange time to set out. And he who sets out at night will surely reach his destination, knowing that the destination is of this path is the prized commodity of Allah, not something cheap, and that the prized commodity of Allah is paradise itself. The only one who will reach paradise, however, are those who have been given protection and divine grace, those who are supported by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and watched over, those who are neither deceived by their desires right? Or that surrounded the fire, that the temptations you can translate. They were neither tricked by the temptations that led to the fire, nor fazed by the difficulties that surround paradise. After creating paradise, Allah said to Jibreel, Go and see it. When he saw it, he said, By my Lord, by your majesty, no one who ever hears of it will not enter it. It's impossible that anybody hears of paradise and then doesn't enter it. It's not possible. He then surrounded it with adversities, makarih, things that are difficult. You have to do difficult things. You have to make choices that are hard. You have to say things that weigh on you. You have to say things that are embarrassing. You have to go against it. You have to lots of things you have to do. He's surrounded with adversities. It's not just adversities, not just difficulties. The word here in Arabic is it's on the previous page here. It says ثم حفها بالمكاره, things that are disliked. So yeah, there's adversities you'll be tried in life. You have to be patient, but things that I don't want to do that. That's annoying. That's very inconvenient, right? He said, so Jibreel, go and see it. When he saw it, he came back and he says, by Allah, I fear that no one will enter it because you have to step on you have to do things that are difficult. After creating the fire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Jibreel, go and see it. After seeing, he came back and said, by Allah, by your Lord, my Lord, by your Majesty, no one that hears of it will enter it. It's not possible for anybody to hear how bad hellfire is and then enter it. It's not possible. He then surrounded it with desires, with temptations, right? Normal, natural temptations that are hard coded to your very core. The lust of being popular, the lust of being accepted, the lust of wealth, the lust of power, the lust of the opposite sex, the lust of pleasures, the lust of food, the lust of laziness. These are normal, natural, hardwired lusts. They're not light, they're not insignificant, they're real. Um, Go and see it. And when he saw it, he said, my Lord, by your majesty, I fear that that no one except, that no one, I fear that there will be no one except that they will, I think that every single person is going to enter it because it's too much temptation. It's too much temptation. And so may Allah protect us, make us of those people who are very, very careful. So what you'll find is you have to actually be more careful than you are. Every single one of us, we have to be more careful than we are. To be look into things. What can we every single day we need to be trying to find out we have to change. What things can we correct? Because there are problems. Like there is no guarantee that we enter Jannah. There is no guarantee that we even eventually go to Jannah. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that we die in Iman. Right? The road to kufr is very real and it happens. Right? And if the Dajjal appears in our time, it wouldn't be surprising, would it? And the temptation is a very real temptation. So we have to be very, very careful, right? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, right? So it's a guidance for people of taqwa. It's not a guidance for people who don't have taqwa, right? So we do have to continually be thinking, yeah, Allah, I fear you, right? I trust in you and I love you and I want to be with you, Allah, but I fear you, right? It's a very, very important thing. When Allah created paradise, hung its fruits up, and made its rivers gush forth, He looked at it and told it to speak. He said, glad tidings to the one with whom you are pleased. The believers are truly prosperous. He then said, no miser will reside in you as my neighbor. I am so generous, I don't want miserly people. So people are too cheap, right? And it's very easy to be financially generous. It's very hard to be emotionally generous. It's very hard to forgive people. It's hard to say sorry to people if you don't really feel sorry. It's hard to show empathy when you find it very difficult to see where on earth that other person's coming from. Right? Only the prosperous will arrive in peace. Right? It's only the muflihun, the people of success, will arrive in peace and security. Right? So it says, فَلَا يَصِلُ إِلَيْهَا بِسَلَامٍ وَأَمَانٍ إِلَّا الْمُفْلِحُونَ وَلَا يُفْلِحُ إِلَّا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. So it should be translated as, it is only the successful that will reach it in peace and safety. And the successful people, it's only the believers who are successful. Right? Those who Allah is happy with them and they're happy with Allah. So they're happy, they're not complaining about this and complaining about that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they have taqwa, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves people of taqwa. And the moment you can say I'm okay, you're not okay. Right? The moment that you're like, oh yeah, it's okay, I have a sufficient level of taqwa, what I'm doing is okay, that means you're not okay. Okay, degrees and stations of paradise. Since the deeds of people are not all the same, the way they will be honored and given blessings in the hereafter will likewise vary. Since this is the case, their stations within paradise will also be of varying degrees. In this way, the virtue, precedence, and endeavors of people of merit, perfection, and deeds will be recognized. The real Subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Haq has informed us in his mighty book that there are varying degrees of paradise. He stated, far superior ranks, forgiveness, and mercy from him. And Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. The translation should be فقال درجات منه ومغفرة ورحمة, right? Unfathomable, unfathomable and innumerable levels from of it or from him. Excuse me. And an unlimited amount of forgiveness and an unfathomable mercy. Excuse me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they are of varying different degrees, very different degrees in Allah's eyes. And Allah is the all-seeing of what they do. So there's a big difference, right? He likewise said, is it they who are the believer like it is they who are the true believers. لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. They will have elevated ranks and a great amount of forgiveness and a supreme honorable provision from their Lord. I'm adding these words to compensate for something of the rhetoric in the Arabic. He subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us that some people will be superior to others in ranks. As he said, those who stay at home, except with those valid excuses, are not equal to those who strive in the fi sabilillah with their wealth and their lives. And so every single one of us, we should have a jihad that we're doing, right? Like imagine what would your schedule like be if you were in Gaza? It will be intense. Similarly, each and every single one of us, we should have an intense schedule, right? But our jihad might be different. What we need to do is slightly different. Some people, it's a mother. Some person, it's a teacher. Some person, it's a community person. Some person, it's dealing with disabled child. Some person, it's this. It's disabled. Everybody has their different priorities. But we should never have a chilled life. Life of just, yeah, finished everything, done. Great. Husband's at work, just sit down and do nothing. You have to be doing something. Got a million things to do. So, husband's at work or I don't know, finish my work now, that's it. We go home and chill. Chilling should be, again, what would you do in Gaza? Would you sit down and rest for a bit? Right? You're picking up, you're trying to dig dead bodies out or something. What would you need to rest at some point. You need to sleep at some point. But you sit down, rest for a bit until your muscles are, rested a bit and start again. Right? And so it could be spending time with your kids. It could be all sorts of various different things, but the idea that you just sit around doing nothing, that you actually have any free time, is an insanity, total insanity, right? There's no such thing as free time. There's only time that can be apportioned in different ways, right? There's no such thing as free time. There's just time that can be apportioned in different ways. Okay, and it's been reported that a person in paradise will look upwards and see a flashing light. He will be taken by surprise and alarm. At this bright flash of lightning that nearly blinded him. He will ask, what is this? Once he'll be told, this is the light of your brother so-and-so. When he realizes his brother's light is greater than his own and his brother's station is higher than his, he will say, my brother so-and-so? Why? We did the same thing in the dunya. Why has he been more honored than me in this way? He was told his deeds were better than your deeds. His heart uh, will be then given contentment until he is content. Right? So his deeds were better than your deeds. Thereafter, he'll be happy. Right? That mentions the other hadiths. So the point is, he'll be surprised that the other person's on a super high level over his. Um, so he will be surprised, but thereafter he won't be sad, right? So he'll notice that the person is above him, but he won't feel sad, right? As it mentions in other hadith that everybody is happy with their level, right? Another man will enter paradise with his slave, but his slave will be in a higher station than him. He will complain, "My Lord, this was my slave in the temporal world, i.e., I provided for him, right? I should be above him." He'll be told he remembered Allah more than you did. There are 100 levels in paradise. The distance between each level is the same as the distance between the sky and the earth. The highest and greatest of these levels is Al-Firdaus, from whence the four rivers of paradise gush forth. For this reason, the Prophet ﷺ taught us that whenever we ask Allah for paradise, we should ask for Firdaus. So isn't it a bit rude to ask for something that you don't deserve? What do you think?
If that was the case, then I wouldn't ask for anything
Exactly.
ever.
So we will have to be on the Tariq al-Tariq, right? On the way of Tariq, he says he threw in the towel a long time ago. He's like, forget me, right? If we relied on ourselves, forget about it, right? So the believer has given up hope in all creation, including himself and including his own spiritual career. He knows that he's the biggest joke that has ever existed on the face of the earth. He says, "Oh Allah, please just ignore me and please just and give as you are, not as I am." Right? Give as you are and not as I am. Right? That's how we deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That our trying to do good deeds is not an actual way of earning anything. It's just we don't want to have so much bad adab that it's a kind of a joke that you don't even do anything. Right? It's just out of adab, right? That, it's like the queen comes to your house and your house is in rubble, right? And there's nothing there. And like, I had to offer you something, so you offered her like a glass of water, even though it's not very interesting. Like, so that's how we're doing. Like, we're just offering Allah something, offering our deeds to Allah. So Allah, please, accept it as you are, not as they are or as I am. And so the concept of desert, I deserve something, is wrong. That's that's unbecoming the slave. Or I deserve paradise, right? Well, I've gone to Hajj twice, so therefore I deserve this, right? I think I'm gonna get this is the kind of place I'm getting paradise. That's wrong, right? You say if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to give me as I deserve, I'd be in a pretty bad situation. But I have a hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will just ignore my deeds and give to me on his level and not my level. Right? And that's why every single day you start the day, astaghfirullah, throwing the whole life into the trash can. Alas, I have achieved nothing. I have no hopes in being anything. I have no hopes in being religious or anything like that. But yeah, Allah, I'm just trying to try again today. Please, ya Allah. As opposed to, no, but I am a 2.5 religious person. Or maybe 2.6, right? When you start looking like that, you're looking at with the wrong way of looking. It's just totally off. Okay. And that way of looking also starts to make you judging people. Well, I'm a 5.2. He's probably a 4.8. So, you have no idea. So being self-referencing from yourself is just off, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Samad. He's the source. He's the ultimate. That's our reference point. So we look at things like that. That's how we look at it from the point of view of Allah, not the point of view of ourselves. And it is part of seeing Allah's generosity. If you look at our own works and go, oh, I don't deserve that much, I'm going to ask something low, wrong. You look to Allah, say Allah is unbelievably generous, unbelievably forgiving. So Allah, forgive all my sins and give me the highest possible Jannah, level of Jannah. And the doors that will lead us to that, they include making wudu in a proper manner, even when it is difficult, by taking steps to the mosque and by waiting and anticipation for the next prayer immediately after the previous one. So dedicating time, right? There is a special level of paradise that is exclusively reserved for three types of people: a just ruler, a person who may maintained his bonds of kinship, and someone who is patient in looking after his dependents. The way to attain the highest and most exclusive heights of paradise is therefore known. The door leading to them is open, and the path to attain them has been made easy for those who yearn for them. For those who yearn for them. The greater the avidity, right? The hirs, I really want this thing, right? Endeavor and effort, the higher the degree of paradise. The more successful the outcome, the more profitable the trade. Now, many people, they become aggressive in this regard, right? They were aggressive in the dunya and then they become aggressive in the akhirah. And they don't see the big picture. And they're trying to do lots of things. So, for example, they're like, "Oh, I really want to finish my khatam. I really want to do this rak'ah. I really want to do that." And they ignore akhlaq, right? They ignore akhlaq, which is not good, right? Because they see it as like points. Like I want to get this point. It's like them, let's like they're kind of playing a computer game, but they don't see that they're worshiping the creator of the points. So many people, what happen is when they become religious, they become very, very strict, and they try and do lots of good things, which is good, right? And then when they become more religious, they actually do less. Excuse me. 1 second, please. Apologies. What we were talking about was, yes, we were saying that what happens is that when they become more religious or they become balanced and they understand the priorities more, right? So, for example, they'd be like, this person, like, don't talk to me, I'm trying to finish this rak'ah. It's like, that's not a nice way to speak, right? It's not a nice way to speak. You can't speak like that to people, right? But they have this thing where they're trying to tick off little boxes for themselves. Like, oh, I did this rak'ah. Oh, I memorized this surah, right? And become very aggressive, right? Which is not good, right? Prophet ﷺ said, what is it? In al-birra laysa bil-ida. He says, good, comprehensive, widespread goodness is not through rushing around. So they were going on Hajj, and this person's trying to get there first and that there first, and I have to be there this time. It's like it's not like that. It's not like that, right? You should, if you don't care about touching the black stone, there's something wrong with you, But does that mean you should push people away? Right? If you don't want to, for example, if you don't want to pray in the masjid, something wrong with you. If you don't want to catch the first rak'ah, something wrong with you. But that doesn't mean you should run, or you should drive like an insane person and knock somebody over or kill somebody or stress people out, right? So there's a balance, there's a way of being, right? Husn as-samt is called, like being in a proper way. And so you do strive, but not in an aggressive way, right? It shouldn't be aggressive. It's not part of the deen. Right? You can be intense, but you can't be aggressive, and you can't be rude. Where we get to. So it says the avidity, endeavor, and effort. The greater the avidity, endeavor, and effort, the higher the degree of paradise achieved. The more successful the outcome, the more profitable the trade, the greater the victory, the more abundant the blessings will be. The reality of this affair will only become evident as its form will only take shape in the afterlife, in the arenas of divine pleasure and the presence of the most merciful, on a day in who in which those degrees will be the light that shines like dazzling lightning. Allahu Akbar. Right? So we have to strive. So what it means is that every single moment you say, Ya Allah, remind yourself why you're here, what you're doing, and it is the direction and uh this the power that you go in that direction. Right? The direction that you're going in and the power that you go in direction. That is the Prophet. If you can imagine, for example, like something aiming directly at Allah, right? Something off by 1 degree, something off by 10 degrees, right? So you shine light directly at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Directly, your light turns directly to Allah. That's the right direction. 8 degrees off, that means less of it's going to touch, right? Less of it is in that same direction. And then the speed and the vigor, right? So the Prophet ﷺ had the purest fear of Allah with the greatest kind of moral force behind it. And this moral force, just like muscles, can be grown and can be shrunk through sohbah, having good a company, right? That's why we have to have physical company. And I've said before, and I say it again, studying online is for people who have no other option, right? Studying online is not a substitute for studying in person. In person is very important. You need to physically be with righteous people. You need to physically be with people who are better than one, who fear Allah more than one does, who've gone through problems and worked them out more than one has, etc. This is very, very important. There's a huge difference to listening to somebody online or on whatever it is, and actually being with them is a big difference. So that's one of the greatest things that you can increase that moral fervor or moral force is being with people. And then they teach you they tell you to do something, or they inspire you to do something, right? I remember one of my teachers, Sheikh Mustafa Azam, he's told me, I was 16, he said, you have to wear a hat. Okay, I wear a hat. It was hard, it was difficult, it was weird. That's what I did. Let's wear a hat. Khalas. Right? So it's not just you have the sohbah, but you actually have to apply that. Because many people, they were there, but they didn't apply it. You were there, the sheikh told you this, or the book was being read and it said this, but you didn't do it. So you didn't do the homework, so it didn't affect you. Right? It didn't affect you. Right? So if we all did the homework, we'd be totally different people, but we don't do the homework. There's a message that hits us in a class, but we don't, or from that sheikh, or just being with that person, translate some of the sheikhs, someone's translating, the sheikh says one thing and he says something else. And then it's like there's a message that you've got to weigh, like make sure you do this, and you don't do it. Right? So you do it or you don't do it. You do it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you more rizq in your spiritual fervor. You don't do it, Allah takes it away. Right? And your mujahid al-nafs, you're taking yourself to task, right? Or is it halal to look at that? No. Why are you looking at it? Yeah, no, I wasn't looking at it. You were looking at it, right? So one of my friends, for example, he was working in an office, a lot of women there. Every single time did a second look back. He looked once and looked back. He'd go to the bathroom and make wudu. He was doing it like 10 times a day. But then it stopped pretty soon because your nafs doesn't want to do that kind of thing. It's annoying. If every single time I look at a woman a second time, I'm gonna have to do that. It's like I'm not gonna do that. It's annoying, right? So every single one of us, we have things that we should not be doing, right? Should you speak to your husband like that? No, you shouldn't speak to your husband like that, right? That's rude. That's disrespectful, right? The respect to your husband is more than your dad. So if you speak to your dad like that, that's pretty low. Okay, what about your husband? Subhanallah, right? And so every single time you do it, no, I don't. I don't accept that from myself. I don't really care about my husband. It's really irrelevant whether he exists or doesn't exist. I care about. I don't accept that from myself that I should speak to my husband like that, right? I don't expect it. I don't accept it for myself that I should speak like that, speak with such disdain towards my wife or towards my child or such callousness, right? Have so that what is wajib for the wife is respect. What is wajib for the husband is rahmah, right? So I don't accept it for myself as a wife to be rude to my husband. Doesn't matter who he is. I don't care what he does. Irrelevant. I don't want to be that person. And I don't want to be that person who is what's it called? Is harsh to their kids or harsh to their wife. I don't want to be that person. So I'm not going to do it. And whenever it happens, I'm going to take myself to task, right? So sohbah, having good company, applying that sohbah and fighting oneself, right? This is very important, and this is a way that you increase that moral force. Otherwise, the moral force dies, right? And they say, "Oh, great, let's go and listen to another talk." Oh, it goes up a little bit, and then it dies because we don't do anything. Most of us, we don't do what we're supposed to be doing. We know what we're supposed to be doing, but we don't do it. Okay. Since a believer has high and lofty aspirations and desires, only being satisfied with the best of things and the highest of things, it is only natural that his soul will yearn for, aspire to, and be devoted to attaining the highest, most noble, most perfect, and loftiest degrees in paradise. For this reason, expansive gates of good deeds have been opened for him in the temporal world, so that he can enter them and strive for them. Through them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise his degrees in paradise. He will continue to ascend the heights of paradise till he reaches the lofty station that has been destined for him. Contentment will be placed in his heart, such that he is content with what he has been given. Right, that's the point he was making before, that you won't feel like, oh man, you won't feel envy in paradise. These gates include those opened for performing jihad in the path of Allah, memorizing the Quran while consistently reciting it. So it says, right, حفظ القرآن مع ملازمة تلاوته. Who is better, somebody who's memorized the Quran and just reviews a bit before they lead Taraweeh, or somebody who's memorized the Quran, or somebody who has not memorized the Quran but every day they recite some Quran, right? What is the point of memorizing the Quran? Is to apply it. I was memorizing the Quran. I stopped, right? I'm not a hafiz, right? I stopped memorizing the Quran because I didn't have the time to review. So I can keep memorizing, but I can't actually review. And I don't have the time to recite every single thing that I memorize in prayer. So what's the point in it? Right? Once I get to the point where I'm in prayer and I pray so much for so long that I need more Quran, then I'll memorize some more Quran then. But otherwise, for myself, I have many gazillion things to do, right? Like the other day, my son, may Allah give him tawfiq, he's trying to memorize Quran, okay? So he's still in Juz Amr or something like that. But I said, Mikhail, look at this, check this out. Daddy can memorize a page in 20 minutes. You can do it too. It's like, you can't do it in 20 minutes. I was, yeah, I can. Went upstairs, memorized, just give me any page of the Musaf, I can do it in 20 minutes, right? So then my wife's like, Fareed, if you can memorize a page in 20 minutes, why didn't you memorize the whole Quran? Why do you memorize the whole Quran then? Like, if it's that easy for you, then why don't you memorize the whole Quran? So yeah, because there's other things that are more important. And isn't it a shame there are people who memorize the Quran and they still recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad in the short surahs at the end of the Quran in the prayer. So that what I'm trying to say is the point of the Quran is to do actions. If you're doing all the actions you can do, then you don't need to memorize anything more. If I were to memorize more, I'd memorize, for example, the ayat of ahkam, halal, haram, because I deal with fiqh. But what's more important for me, memorizing the Quran or answering someone's question that's waiting right now? Right? What's more important now? Memorizing the Quran or playing with my kids who are already complaining that daddy's too busy? Right? So yes, we should memorize the Quran, but it doesn't say memorize the Quran. It says while consistently reciting it, i.e., that you live a life of Quran, right? You intentionally found a career that gave you time to recite, and every day you literally do hours of Quran. That's what we're talking about. You live a life of hours of the Quran, right? That's the point. Whether you memorize it or not, that's great. But the point is you're dedicated to it, right? A dedication to the Quran. Memorize the Quran while consistently reciting it, making ablution even though it's difficult, making praying at work even though it's hard, right? Making every step to the prayer to the mosque, waiting in anticipation for the next prayer, etc. Remembering Allah abundantly, speaking a good word that a person may not pay attention to yet nevertheless pleases Allah. So saying one nice thing, right? One nice thing to your wife that made the day, one nice thing to your son, right? Your son shows you something that's really like, today I did this, daddy. And you're like, oh, right. So making someone's day with words is very important. Go ahead, Azhar, how about balancing this with high himma?
Shaykh, how to balance this with our high? We have to aim high, right? Plus, but what you said makes a lot of sense. So how do we balance it?
Yeah, so some people, for example, they do things quickly. I also do everything very slowly. I'm a very slow person, right? So some people, mashallah, they just, you know, they can do more than I can do. What I'm trying to say is the mentality, right? It is not that you have memorized the Quran once, right? It is that Quran is part of your life, right? So you memorize the Quran in order that the Quran be part of your life, not that you memorize the Quran in order that you have memorized the Quran. That's my point. And high himma is in your amal, not in the nata'ij, right? Like is in your wird, not in the warid, right? Wird means the things that you do. Warid is the things that Allah gives you. So I want to have high himma and I want to memorize the Quran. What if Allah doesn't enable you to memorize the Quran? What if when Anzar, for example, he recites the ayah 20 times, he memorizes it. You repeat it 400 times, you don't memorize it. High himma is, Ya Allah, is the dedication is from your end. Ya Allah, I'm going to dedicate myself 100% to your book. Whether I memorize it or not, there's something irrelevant. Right? So high himma is not in terms of what you achieve. High himma is in terms of what you do. Right? What you're the does that make sense? But many people, it's not like that. I say, I want to have memorized the Quran so I can check that off on my own list of achievements. Right? And it's not pure. It's not purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has what's called hadh min hudud al-nafs, right? I want to be a mufti. Why do you want to be a mufti? Oh, I want to be a sheikh. What? Because it's cool. You like shuyukh. They think they're cool, right? Many people like that, right? I think shuyukh are cool. Right? You used to be into, I don't know, something another type of cool, and now this is new cool. It's entertaining. You like it. You like the whole feeling of it. That doesn't mean anything. All of that's nonsense. The interesting thing is the feeling of being a sheikh. It is the amal, right? What we do, not the I want to be able to quote hadith like he does, right? That's a very low thing. It's like pointless. Okay, may Allah protect us. A good word. Okay. Displaying beautiful patience in the face of great difficulty and difficult calamity, interceding in a beneficial way with the person of authority on someone's behalf in order to repel an undesirable outcome or attain a desirable effect. Pardoning someone who has wronged you, right? Super important. Many, many, many hadiths about what? About grudges, right? But you're happy to go on Umrah, you don't want to forgive your husband. Happy to spend $1,000 in the masjid, you won't forgive your wife. Your wife, she's in the black, she's on the list of khalas, bad people, never to be forgiven. Doesn't matter what she's done for you. Doesn't matter what she's gone through in her life. She's never forgiven. She said this, khalas, I'm not going to forgive her. Right? So that stubbornness that we find in certain people or in certain cultures, that is there for a particular reason, which is you should have that stubbornness with your nafs. Right? You tell your nafs, nice to meet you. I am your sworn enemy. I'm not getting past me. That's where Allah gave you that stubbornness, not to use against other people. Right? Not to use against other people. Right? That haughtiness that I will never forgive him. That is supposed to be used, right? That is supposed to be used in, I don't accept this kind of behavior from myself. Never will I do that. But we use it in another thing. I don't accept that you speak to me in this way. He said that to me. She said that to me. Never. We won't accept it. Right? These are all. So pride has a place, right? It comes from nobility. That like I don't accept this lowness from myself, as opposed to I don't accept people speaking to me that way. Right? So pardoning people is part parcel of seeing yourself, not seeing yourself. As Tariq said, is he still here? Um, you know, I don't seem, I don't see that I deserve anything, and I don't deserve. So if anybody slaps me in the face, like, yeah, that's the worst I do. That's the least I deserve, right? Somebody could says you're lazy. Yeah, good point. I am lazy. So you just do haram all the time. It's true. Right? You don't have so having your ego hurt means you have an ego, means you're a bad person, means you've got a lot of work to do, right? So anger for the sake of Allah is rare. Most anger is just pride. To someone who's deprived, being generous to someone who's deprived you, as the Prophet ﷺ said, the best type of charity is charity given to family members that hate you. Like, what? I'm not going to give them charity because they're all saying bad stuff about me. She tried to ruin my marriage. Why on earth would I try and give up gifts? Right? Because it crushes your nafs. And connecting with a relative who has cut your ties with you. Yeah, but why should I talk to them? They didn't talk to me. Because Jannah. I don't care about them. I care about Jannah. There are certain degrees that Allah has reserved for particular people, such that no other people, save those who have performed these very deeds, can attain these degrees. For example, there is a special degree that is only attained by those who overcome their worries by earning. Hmm? Yeah, that's not right translation here. It says لا ينالها إلا أرباب الهموم والتفكير في السعي على العيال بالحلال. Right? There is a certain special degree for those people who are occupied, not overcome their worries. Right? So this person, day in, day out, they're working 80 hours a week and they're trying to support everybody, right? In the halal. But why are they doing this? Is such an important thing, right? Put your hand up if you work more than 40 hours a week, including commuting. So if you add commuting to your work, it's more than 40 hours. Us has left. He's got to go to work. Tariq, you work more than 40 hours?
I'm in school actually.
Okay. So okay, but is your schooling more than 40 hours a week?
It might be.
Okay, you're doing med school?
Yeah.
Yeah, so med school is pretty hardcore. My brother my oldest brother is a doctor. He got to his third year, he was like, I just can't do this. Just can't do it. You know, like I just can't like memorize ridiculous amount of like pointless lists, right? Ahmed, you work 40 hours or more,
Yes.
right? And so here's the problem. Most people do that, right? In California, this is the whole thing. Is like people have money. Well, in America in general, people have money compared to the rest of the world, but they're actually working all the time, right? Husband and wife are working, so it's kind of stupid. So actually, you don't actually make that much money. It just, it just looks like you make money, but you don't actually make that much money because you're kind of poor because you can't enjoy it. Anyhow, the point is, many of us we have to work a ridiculous amount of hours. You just keep working, 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 and it doesn't stop. It never stops, and all of it is a total waste of time unless you have a niyyah. So you're gonna
Yeah.
commute, you're gonna
Yeah,
commute to
Sheikh.
work. Yeah, go ahead, Ahmed.
Yes, Sheikh, because I need to pay $1,500 for my son's prescription out of my pocket every month.
There we go. So now there's two ways that Ahmed can look at it. I have an expense. I have to work a lot hard. Because I have to work so hard, I have to do many, many hours and and I don't have time for ibadah, which is totally wrong because reality is it is ibadah. And if you look at it in the right way, so say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah has tested me in this way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me this honor and the sharaf that as a man, I have the nobility of providing for my ayal and people who need me. And
Alhamdulillah.
every single penny that I pay for the car, every single time I have to stop at a traffic light, every single thing, this is all good for me. And it's all ibadah. It's like I'm sitting down doing Quran the whole time and more, right? But it's all about how we see it. Because if there's no niyyah, then it's pointless. You just have a difficult life and that's it. And most people are like that. Most people, it's just they just have a difficult life and that's it. And they don't understand what they're doing. Just like cancer can be the door to Allah, but you didn't see it. You didn't see it through Allah or anything, so it's just pointless. So, it's very, very important. Stop. What are you doing? Check. What are you doing? Baby wakes up. It's hard to do it, right? When baby wakes up, have your niyyah, but you try and have the niyyah. Baby's woken up 3 times. It's like, oh my God, you're never having a proper sleep ever. But yeah, stop. Why are you waking up for the baby? Why are you doing what you're doing? Stop. Why are you doing what you're doing? Stop. Why are you doing what you're doing? Then you keep turning it into ibadah. Otherwise, you're just wasting your life. You're just wasting your life day in, day out. And then now and then you pray if you have time. And now and then you do the Quran if you have time. And now and then, so now and then you have some good deeds. But otherwise, most of the time, the best deeds that you could ever do were all sold for nothing. Right? Like doing the fard, like working, looking after children, paying bills, right? Paying a hundred, I think my last electricity bill was like $560. Like what? $560 electricity bill? Like what are you talking about? That's crazy. So it could either just be, oh, I lost money, or alhamdulillah, or I'm patient, or more than that, I'm very happy to do that. That's all sadaqah. Great. I gave $500 in sadaqah. I'm very happy. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Great. Right. So you could be very happy about it. Uh, somebody said this once. There was a lady, she had a disabled child, and it was like hell looking after the child. It was so unbelievably hard. So hard. The child was old, 10, 12, 13, something like that. Taking him to the bathroom, carrying him here, carrying there, so difficult. And then the child died. All the barakah left the family after that. There was so much barakah in the household when that child was there, when all that work was there. And when the child died, it's gone. Right? So often we look at key things of worship that we do, right? So what do we have? Our universal niyyah is, oh Allah, employ me for whatever you want me to do. And don't employ me for anything. Allah, employ me with the most beloved thing you want me to do. If that's washing up, let it be washing up. If he's going to bed early and sleeping till the end of Fajr to get a proper night's rest for once, may that be the case. If he's praying Tahajjud, may that be the case. May whatever it is, right? So this person is spending the whole life, whole day saying, Ya Allah, I could do A or B. Should I do A or B? Oh Allah. And then Allah guides you to A. Oh Allah, guide me to this. Guide me to this. Guide me to this. Every single time, trying to find out what is the best possible thing. So someone like Ahmed, it's like, oh, I'm going to sit down in Quran. Allah doesn't want you to sit down and go to Quran. Allah wants you to go and work. Find a second job, a third job, and pay for your son's thing. Allah wants you to do that. It's a noble, beautiful thing. And Judgment Day is going to be a huge thing. Right? And so then he says, no, I'm going to do Quran instead. That's from the shaitan. Because Allah doesn't want you to sit down and do Quran. Inshallah, he does Quran as well. Recites Quran, I don't know, while he's working or whatever it is, inshallah. But if he can't, right, then alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. He works a 60-hour week. Everybody else has 2 days off. He has 1 day off. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. That's it. That's life. And so this is very important. We always have to stop, think, what are you doing? Stop, think, what are you doing? Because otherwise, otherwise it's very dangerous. You just spend your time doing nothing. And most of our life is like that. Most of our life is going to the bathroom, finding why the toaster doesn't work, making a cup of tea, checking the car oil, stuck in traffic. That's most of our life, right? So if we don't have a niyyah in most of our life, that's terrible. That means we're selling those moments for nothing. Right now I'm cold. So what should I do? Should I put a jumper on? A sweater on?
Is the answer yes?
The answer is yes, but yeah, I know. But what should I do though? So right now it's like life is full of these things. Oh, where's my wallet? Oh, I'm cold. Put something on. What should I do right now? So inside my heart, what should I do right now? Before I pick up the coat, the jacket, what should I do?
Make the niyyah.
Make a niyyah for what?
Make a good niyyah for Allah.
Okay, like specifically what? So I'm cold and I need to put this jacket on. What's my niyyah?
Being warm could assist you in more obedience of Allah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it on and to do more obedience of Allah. Could there be disobedience to Allah if I don't put it on? What if I make myself sick?
Yeah,
So can you see
yeah, with protection from sickness. Yeah.
I'm saying, Oh Allah, I fear you concerning the haqq of my body that you have given over me. Oh Allah, I appreciate and I love you for the sake that you gave me the option of keep myself warm. Oh Allah, I want to keep myself healthy so that I can teach other people, right? And then I can fulfill my obligation to my family and to my children and to Tariq. And so now Tariq can listen to this lesson next week and then he can do this and do this and do this and do this. And my niyyah is applying to goes 10,000 years in the future, right? And it has lots of different aspects to it. It has fear of Allah and it has love of Allah and it has appreciation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has reliance of Allah. Excuse me. Has all these different things. What a difference. So when the Prophet ﷺ leans forward, he's doing and then make the dua, Allahumma nis'alaka khayrahu wa khayra ma suni'a lahu wa a'udhu bika min sharrihi wa sharri ma suni'a lahu. Right? When the Prophet ﷺ leans forward or scratches his nose, his ibadah is way better than our Hajj and Umrah. Because see how comprehensive it is. Right? Comprehensive. It's so alive. Right? So alive. We can be so alive or we can be so dead that you don't even see what's going on. Okay, so there are certain degrees. Again, so those people who are overcome by worries, not overcome with worries. Who are overcome with worries. No, that's I guess not. That's not wrong, is it? I thought overcome their worries. That's not completely wrong, to be fair. about earning a lawful for their dependents, right? So there's a big difference between I'm worried and I'm concerned to fulfill my obligation to Allah. What a difference. Oh my God, what's happened to my son? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I have a means to provide for my son. Oh, Allah help me provide for my son. What a difference, right? Worry and not seeing Allah in the picture, or seeing Allah in the picture and rolling when sees I'm going to do something that Allah loves. I'm very happy and proud of it, right? Okay. So I will stop here. Description of the gates of paradise. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam. Everybody.
جزاكم الله خيرا شيخ.
Assalamu alaikum.